पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं पादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So everyone, welcome to the class.
Hari Om Dipti ji.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Someone wants to chant?
From which verse, Dipti ji?
We can do from 7 to 10.
Okay, we'll try.
Yeah.
Balastavat kridah saktah. Sorry. Balastavat krida saktah. Tarunastavat taruni saktah. Vrittastavat chintaya saktah. Parame brahmani kopi na saktah.
Okay, let me start the tune. Balastavat krida saktah tarunastavat taruni saktah vrittastavat chinta saktah parame brahmani kopi na saktah.
Okay. Balastavat krida saktah tarunastavat taruni saktah vriddhastavat chintaya saktah parame brahmani kopi na saktah Kate kanta kaste putraha samsaro yamativa vichitraha kasya tattvam kaha kuta ayatah kasye tvam kaha kuta ayatah tattvam chintaya tadiha bratah Satsangatve nissangatvam nissangatve sorry, can you tell me how to
Nirmohatvam
nissangatve nirmohatvam nirmohatve nischalatatvam Nishchalatatve jivana muktihi.
I'll say this verse first. Satsangatve nissangatvam nissangatve nirmohatvam nirmohatve nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan muktihi.
Satsangatve सत्संगत्वे निस्संगत्वं निस्संगत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवनमुक्तिः.
Good. Follow me after this in this verse. Vayasi gate kah kama vikarah.
वयसि गते कामविकारः
Vayasi gate kah kama vikarah.
वयसि गते कः काम sorry can you
Vayasi gate kah kama vikarah.
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः
Vayasi gate kah kama vikarah.
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः
शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः.
शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः
क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः.
क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः
ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः.
ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः. शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः.
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः
क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः. ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः.
क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः. शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः. क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः. ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः.
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः
Good, good. Someone else wants to try this verse?
जी may I try?
जी.
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः.
Good, very good. Yes. Anyone else?
I'll try.
Yeah.
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः.
Good, good. Yes. One more. Someone else?
May I try the teaching?
Yes, please.
वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः.
Good, very good. Yes. So let's continue. We saw in the last verse, the 9th verse, that our minds, which are today attached to sensory world, attached to the sensory world, And when we say attached to the sensory world, it means objects and people. There is no other choice. Mind being externally oriented, receiving only information from the senses, it feels that the world in which we move, we see ourselves, is real. This thought is very subtle. Our sense of reality that we project on the world that we experience is in our minds certain, it's absolute. यही सच है, यही real है. This is firm. There is no doubt. If we say us really a child say gone to see a movie for the first time, बच्चा है, and if you watch them how they see the movie, their eyes are glued. There's so much happening on the screen. At that point, to tell them that this is a mere projection, कि ये कुछ भी वहां नहीं हो रहा, this is just a movie, there is nothing happening there, it's actually a blank screen. Really speaking, what is there? It's just a screen, which is the real thing. What is being seen on the movie, on the screen, that is not real. That is an appearance. That is a projection, is a real word, good word. Screen pe movie is projected. It's not there. It doesn't belong on the screen. It has no reality on the screen. Screen is real. Adhishthan is real. But what is seen on Adhishthan is not there. It is a projection. It is a kalpitam. It is purely a drishyam. It is just seen. It is seen because our senses contact their respective sense objects. It becomes a multiple experience, multi-dimensional experience. Eyes are seeing color and form simultaneously, nose is smelling, ear is hearing. So all the five perceptions are giving us a multi-dimensional projection. But what is seen? Whatever we see outside in the world, really speaking, if I say this is a pencil, it is a pencil. हमारे मन में क्या चल रहा है इस पेंसिल को लेके? मेरे हाथ ने उठाई. अगर मेरे हाथ ने उठाई तो ये तो बाहर ही है ना, हाथ मेरा अंदर थोड़ी जाता है. हाथ ने उठाई है तो पेंसिल तो बाहर ही है. क्यों उठाई है? मुझे उसकी ज़रूरत है. आई नीड टू राइट, इसलिए उठाई है. It has a work, it has a function. That I'm picking up a pencil. My attention is that it must be there for me to pick it up. But the reality is, if it is not perceived in my mind, that thought of pencil, if I don't have the knowledge of pencil, I will not pick up the pencil. ये अगर मेरे पास है नहीं वृत्ति में, the object that I see outside is truly a perception in my mind. The reality of that object outside is truly the reality of my existence, through which I am seeing the reality of the object. I see it as real. But If I break it, I won't. But if I break it, and I break it, and I break it, and I break it, I'm left with a small piece. It is still considered to be a pencil, but it is a pencil which has undergone a modification. It was not there before, it is not going to be there later. It falls in the category of मिथ्या. ये जो बोध है, इस बोध को, बोध means this hearing that we are doing now, say, this has to be affirmed, understood again and again till I see that reality of the statement itself. I have to go on reflecting on it. I have to go on listening it. This he says over here, on our own, that attachment to the world, ये real है, is so strong and firm and unshaken that to even temporarily see that this is just a movie on the screen, for that, satsangam. It is only through satsang that we are able to, our minds are able to, some degree, start to suspect eventually. क्या इस बात में भी कोई तथ्य है, सत्य है? इतने जन्मों से, means from so many yugas, so many rishis, so many acharyas, this seems to be a steady statement throughout given by them. It has never changed its importance. It has never got diminished in creation. Nobody has been able to shake the statement away and falsify it. How we do in science. In science, the previous knowledge gets falsified by the newer knowledge, fresher discovery. But this knowledge, that the world that we experience as real is not real. This statement hasn't been able to be refuted, to be replaced by a newer, better, or to some extent, you can say, a fresher knowledge. It's not going to be replaced. That means, ये जो मेरा मन जुड़ा है, this needs a little introspection. It needs observation. हमारा मन जुड़ा कहाँ है और कितना है और कैसे है, वो जो लगाव है मन में दुनिया को लेके, उस लगाव को प्रश्न करना, उस लगाव को इंक्वायर करना, till I am able to come to the fact that not there. So through satsang, and we saw in the last class the various facets through which we can determine what is satsang. Fundamentally, जो चीज मेरे मन को इस इन्वॉल्वमेंट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड से थोड़ी देर के लिए ही सही, even for a little time, if it connects me to the sat, that is called satsang. Only through that, nissang, that involvement in the world, I am able to detach from. Once my mind is detached, means I'm able to pull it back. You know, it's sometimes when you are driving at a very fast speed on a highway, if you are driving, you're pulled out. The traffic cop pulls you out. Niklo bahar niklo. Are you able to straight away take a turn? You will slow down and then slowly take a side turn. But you have pulled it from your main movement, from your main direction. हमारा मन दुनिया में लगता है अपने आप. When we are able to pull it back, where through the help of satsang, when my mind is able to pull it back, it's nissang. In that nissang, it's got pulled back from its involvement in the world. In that nissangatvam, nirmohatvam, my potential, my capacity to see that this is delusion, it is seeing water on desert. मोह जो है जिसमें हमारा मन लिप्त है is the right word. It's involved, it's indulging, connected to the world. That it is now for some time, when it is nissang, it can also become nirmoh, free of the freedom from that moh. थोड़ी देर के लिए चीजें जैसी है वैसी दिखती है in the light of the शास्त्र विद्या. As long as there is a satsang happening, in satsang our minds, why do we all feel that after class or after this learning, for a little while our mind is purified? थोड़ी देर के लिए एक शुद्धि लगती है, अंतकरण थोड़ी देर के लिए शांत. और to some of us in the beginning it almost looked like, is this my mind? It gets so quiet. Nirmohatvam, the subtle thoughts pertaining to the reality of the world can now be questioned. Once the mind has lost its interest from things in the world, involvement in the world, आपको आ गया है, इसको खींच के विचार में बिठाओ, ईश्वर में बिठाओ, कर्मा में बिठाओ, भक्ति में बिठाओ, उपासना में बिठाओ, ज्ञान में बिठाओ, हायर वैल्यूज में बिठाओ. When you have learned, or when we have learned this, how to keep our mind on the higher, in that mind then becomes nischala, non-wavering, steady, firm. The senses no longer are powerful. The senses are not pulling you as much as you have the control over there. You have the control in it. Once the mind is fairly stabilized, hilta nahi hai. And we used to give the example, many of you have heard, it's a very conveyable example. It's a cone. See a cone ever? And in the cone, the base is bigger and the apex is a point. If the cone is kept on the apex, what happens to the cone? It is chanchal. It'll fall anytime. It'll topple over. It is not steady. The slightest, it doesn't even need too much of a push. Slightest push and the cone will fall. When it falls, where does it fall? It falls on the side, on its side. When it falls on the side, it moves for a little while. ऐसे ऐसे हिलता है थोड़ी देर के लिए before it gets settled. That थोड़ी देर के लिए जो हिलता है means our mind is disturbed by something for some time, and then it settles down. Then there is one stage where the cone is actually on its base, firm. A small push doesn't change, does not topple it over, and it doesn't waver in its toppled state. It remains stable there. It needs a lot of push to make it unstable. These are the three stages of our disturbed state of our minds. In the first stage, where the mind is equated to being on the cone, on an apex, means I'm highly dependent on the world, highly dependent on the world, and I'm extremely conditional in my happiness. That means all conditions can never be met, and the world is ever changing, which means if my dependency of my happiness is very high on the conditions to be met, only then I will be happy. That dependent mind is on an average going to remain disturbed. क्योंकि एक चीज आएगी, बहुत डिस्टर्ब करेगी, and by the time you've just about settled on the side, something else will come and disturb it. That is the highest dependence. Then comes the second stage where your dependence is little less. It needs, to some extent, you have managed to overcome your dependency, but there is still some areas, some aspects. It could be some people, it could be some situations, but the dependency on a fewer things, but it is high. In first case, there was a lot of dependency on a lot of things and a very high dependency. In the second instance, there may be lesser things, but the dependency could be high on lesser things. Fewer people, lesser things. So, averagely, I don't get disturbed. But when I get disturbed, because it's dependent on fewer things, then I am disturbed for a longer time. Both these will not allow us to inquire on the truth. On truth being विचार. विचार मीन जन्म मृत्यु के बीच का जो अवसर है, बिटवीन लाइफ एंड डेथ, ये जो एक अवसर है, इस अवसर में what is it that keeps us, that is useful, what is it that will be beneficial? वो inquiry that this whole thing is an appearance, it won't happen till the mind has become nishchalam. Because in that nishchalam, what happens? Jivan mukti. A completely freed mind means I have zero dependency. To most of us, it looks like an arbitrary state, a hypothetical state. It looks like as if this is a state where we are presuming, we are only hearing, मगर ऐसा होता थोड़ी है. This is how people will say. ये थोड़ी ऐसा possible थोड़ी है. दुनिया में रह के तो वैसे भी possible नहीं है. Possible थोड़ी है और दुनिया छोड़ के तो जा नहीं सकते. In other words, we start by saying that ये तो possible ही नहीं है. क्या possible नहीं है? To be zero dependent on the world. ये तो possible ही नहीं है. That is how we start. If we start by saying ये तो possible ही नहीं है, then what have we done? We have eliminated the possibility of self-growth, even if not full, to some extent that we could have become independent of that in the world. Therefore, Shastra says, it is possible to be zero dependent on the world. Have no sanshaya in that. Have no doubt in that. Which means my disturbances are a big clue to me. They're a very big, in Vedanta, we would say, I would say, but it is actually a boon in a way. Our disturbed minds reflect to us, give to us that information of how dependent I am today on the world and how much work it will need to come to the point of zero dependency. It gives us that opportunity to be able to see how dependent I am. But here Shankara says, aspire for zero dependency. Zindagi ka goal bana lo. What is that goal? It's a lifelong process. Nobody is expected to overcome it after studying Bhagavad Gita, after studying Bhaj Govindam, after studying one or two texts, हाँ अब तो हम जीवन मुक्त हो जाएंगे. Nobody is deluded. That would be real delusion if someone says, "Oh, I have finished Gita and I'm enlightened." We won't eliminate it. 1% chance maybe, but average all of us. No, let's be not deluded. At least here. पहला delusion तो हम तोड़े. What is that pehla delusion? This is Moha Mudgara. This is a book, knowledge of which will help us tremendously to keep looking at our delusions and keep hammering them with knowledge. What is that delusion? I may think that I am absolutely ready for Jivan Mukti, but my independence from the world is direct with my non-unperturbed mind. Therefore, Jivan Mukti is possible and it can be lifelong as a goal. Where does it start? Satsangatve, in satsang, through satsang. One can come to eventually Jivan Mukti. In another text, this is a simple text, so Shankara has just given 4 basic points. These are like, on a road map. If you have a Google map and you have taken a large, it's zoomed, you should say in or out, I don't know. It's zoomed out. So you can only see few very pivotal points. When you, suppose you are going from here to Haridwar, then you will only see in between 2-3 points that will be majorly brought up. But when you zoom in, the small points start to come in. Small directions, the small places also start showing up. Other texts like Bhagavad Gita, they will start showing us the small things. This is a Prakarna Grantha. So, say Haridwar is Jivan Mukti. Where we are is supposing our starting point. What is the first point? Satsang, established in Satsang. Majorly shown. In between, lot of things. What are those lot of things? A lot of correctional attitudes, a lot of sadhanas, but all of that will fall into satsang. Satkaram, Satvichar, Satvani, all whatever we saw in the last class, all those few points that we saw of each of them. When you say them, Satkal, Satdesh, Sat Parasthiti, all this being Sat, the next point will come Nisangatva. Now Nisangatvam will also have a lot of points in between. To what an extent I have become detached or available to myself. To the extent that Nirmohatvam. And Nirmohatvam Nischalatattvam. And Nischalatattvam Jivan Mukti. That is, now you have reached Haridwar, Ganga Sanam. Now we are able to take our, in the eternal waters of Gyan and Bhakti, we can revel in. We have reached the goal. Starting from first effort. हमारा मन दुनिया में आसानी से लगता है. We have to do nothing there. परिश्रम है, tapas है, that to pull that mind away from there and direct it in satsang, towards satsang. So with this kind of Shankara gives us a complete roadmap. As I just said, I'm repeating, if you zoom out in the Google map and you will see 4 important points, 5 important, 6 important, what are they? Landmarks. These are the landmarks given by Shankara towards Jivan Mukti. Now in the next verse, he's helping us through vichar, through reason, helping us to see things as they are. Because being deluded, being desire-ridden, wanting to completely be involved in the experience of the world, उसके बिना लगता है जीवन खाली है, etc. He is now bringing us some more basic knowledge. What is it? First thing, vayasi gate kah काम vikarah. I should share the screen. Vayasi gate, gone. Kah, where is? Where is? What? Gone. When it's gone. What has gone?
Youth.
Youth. Yeah, I was thinking of something. There's some. So, when youth is gone, age is gone, उम्र ढल रही है से, कहा काम विकारः, where is the desire and its modification? अपने आप, when we are young, when there is youthfulness, though as we say, youthfulness is in the mind, not in the body, but here Shankara is helping us to understand with the help of the body itself, when your body is approaching the next stage of its vikar, the desires that are held in the mind to enjoy this, to go here, to do that, to be this, that passion to enjoy or to act. When youth is gone, where is the desire to enjoy as much as it is when you were young? Kahan hai? Though later on he is going to say, despite the age, the desires don't go. So both statements are relevant in their context. In this context, he is saying cause and effect. As long as there is a cause, you will have an effect. Sharir avastha is the cause for kamna, for desires. Umeed, let's say umeed, hope hai. I have hope of a change. I have hope of a future. I have a hope that I will get happiness. I have hopes that I depend upon. That happens as long as there is a sharir avastha. But as the sharir avastha starts to ksheena hoti hai, slowly wither away, that hope takes a reality check. I'll call it a reality check. It gets a reality check. What I could hope for 20 years earlier, 20 years later, life and experiences will tell me that hope was unfounded and very high, unnecessarily high value I had placed on it. इतनी ज़रूरत नहीं थी मुझे उसको ऊपर इतना बिठा के रखने की, उस उम्मीद को इतनी वैल्यू देने की ज़रूरत नहीं थी. I did not have the need to keep that hope given such a high value, but I see it when I see it in time. So Shankara says here, simple question. Ask, he says. पूछो अपने आप से कि जब मेरे को वृद्धा, मेरे छोड़ो, when I look around, वृद्धावस्था में those desires that were seen in the youthful state, कहाँ है? Where are they? Gone. He says, gate. When the youth has gone, that sati means conditional. Jab. That jab means now it is a condition. When youth is gone, where is the modification of desire? इच्छाएं बदल बदल के अपना स्वभाव, अपना स्वरूप हमें, हमारा दिमाग कैसे खराब करेंगी? बिकॉज यू टेंड टू develop a little dispassion, disinterest in that sense. Second example he gives is Shushke Neere Kaha Kasaraha. This is much more impactful. When the water is dried up, there was a lake, and then water dries up in the lake. Where is the lake? This is a very directly reflectable example. जिसको हम पहले लेक कह रहे हैं. Why is it a lake? Because of the water. It is called lake as long as there is water. You can say it in a lot of ways. It's a very impactful example to think about. You call it a lake because of the presence of water. Once the water is evaporated, gone, can you call that a lake now? Where is the lake? So as long as lake is there, what is it implying? It is implying the presence of water. जिसको हम कह रहे हैं कि this is lake, that is implying actually presence of water. I'm repeating because it has to drive home. What I call as a lake, when I say, Arey, there is a lake there, what is this? Bhatkal Lake and some other lakes. You go to have outings, lakeside outings. We go there because we say, oh, this is a lake, beautiful lake. हमारा मन मोहित है उस नाम रूप से जिसको हम देख रहे हैं as lake. But then, where is the lake in summertime when the water is gone? Best example is, I don't know if it is there anymore, but when we were younger, India Gate had that two sides water, and there used to be boating, rowing there. Anybody remembers? I don't know if it is still there or not. We could row. Evening time, you could have a boating. I was fascinated when we go there as evening, spend your evenings there, you are boating and enjoying. One summer, I realized there's no water there. Water had dried up. What was the depth of that place? Doesn't even reach your knees. It is not even that deep. But when it is filled with water, it was a completely different experience. बहुत ध्यान से सुन के समझने की बात है. जब पानी से भरी है वो जगह, तो वो बोटिंग एक्सपीरियंस बिल्कुल अलग है. आप सोचते हो बहुत गहरा है पानी, एंड इट्स सो ब्यूटिफुल. और जब पानी सूख के देखा, तो यू वर एक्चुअली काइंड ऑफ amazed at yourself. How did you believe this was deep? How could you believe that this was a full of, this is just this much? When the water is evaporated, there is nothing called lake. सिर्फ इस एग्जाम्पल को अब दुनिया में डालो. हम सारे रिश्ते, हम सारे व्यवहार, हम सारी परस्यूट्स एक संबंध में रखते हैं. वो संबंध कब तक है? The entire transaction of life is nothing but संबंध. वो संबंध कब तक है? How much is that value that we place to this existence in life, and our entire time and energy is spent on sustaining those sambandh. But he says in the next line, and this is absolutely true, However much people may have the aura or the belief that the bonds are real, this is real, nothing is real. When is it real? He says, Kshine vitte. When the wealth is destroyed, diminished also, kam bhi ho jaye to bhi. Kaha parivaraha? Who will stay with you? Who will still look up to you? Why will you be still respected? It is all sati, 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 conditional. If all the best people, when there are difficulties in the family, a lot of family still continues to exist because importance is, yes, it's not the relation, but the person may have the capacity to give you something, therefore there is a relation. Kaha parivaraha? Where is the family? If you are no longer able to, he said this in the previous verse also, if you're no longer able to contribute to the family in any way, that wealth can be anything. If you do not serve the family back, if you are incapable of giving back, if you are incapable of giving back to the people around you, where are the people? कौन रहेगा आपके साथ? कहाँ परिवार रहा? It's gone. Sambandh is entirely because there is a give and a take. You give and you get. But the minute you say, I don't give, where is the sambandha? In the same way, look at the way each example is going to highlight one aspect. When youth is gone, what happens to the desires? They are there, but they are no longer as, they don't have that vigor. They don't have the force in them. रहती हैं इच्छाएं, मगर incapable of fulfilling, therefore temporary renunciation. वयसि गते कः काम विकारः, शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः, क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः. If you see the cause and effect of these three are लौकिक examples, जो दुनिया में देख के causation को हम समझ सकते हैं. That we can at least develop that much maturity in ourselves. At least till that time we can. But important is, all this samsara is felt. What is samsara? Our cone on the apex or our cone on the side. Our state of mental disturbance, our attachments, our sense of reality of the world. All this is samsaraha. Where is the samsaraha? Condition kya hai? What is the sati here? Gyate tattve. When you know the tattvam, on knowing the tattvam, the samsara disappears. How does it disappear? Just as this kama vikara disappeared in old age, no longer manifest, just as the lake disappeared when the water evaporated, just as the family disappeared when the wealth was lost. आज दिख रहे हैं, but ये permanent नहीं है. संसार आज लग रहा है permanent, but it is a conditional permanence. If I am running after desires, if I'm able to fulfill my desires, if I'm able to enjoy my desires, that means I have youthfulness in me. Irrespective of your age, I'm still youthful. But once those desires are subject to non-fulfillment, then where is the means along with the age, where is the desire? In the same way, when you know the truth, and what is the truth? What is the truth? Gyate tatve. Tatve satve. Satve sat. Gyate sat. How do you know the sat? Satsang. On knowing the sang, satsang, on having satsang, nissang. You develop detachment in the world. That knowledge, when you have affirmed yourself and got established in, samsara will disappear just in a effortlessly. That's the point here. आपको कुछ करना ही नहीं है. It's a good example. The third, supposing, as long as you have wealth, you have dependence on you. He'll go on. This is repeated very often in the Bhaj Govindam. That you have people around you as long as you are able to give something back to them. They disappear. भाग जाते हैं एकदम से. There is कहावत भी ना. I know my friends only in times of my difficult. Who are my real friends and family is when there are difficult times. Means who will stand with me at that time. Otherwise, disappear. Think about that disappearance. That's why that lake example is beautiful to reflect, more direct. In the other two examples, we still have involvement. But lake example is a complete objective example, which means suddenly it disappears. है ही नहीं. संसार नहीं है. That is Jivan Mukti. That is a complete state of independence established in Tattvam. That Tattvam, in the example of the movie and the screen, is knowing that this is a screen even when I am seeing a movie on it. When I'm seeing a movie, but I know it is a screen. When I'm seeing the world, but I know this is Brahman. Even the words are so distant to our minds today. इन वर्ड्स में आते आते जब तक ब्रह्मन की बात शुरू होती है तब तक एक परोक्षता आ जाती है. व्हाट इज परोक्षता? डिस्टेंस. दूरी आ जाती है. उस थॉट में एक देयर इज दिस अंधेरा. ब्रह्मन इज अंधेरा. What is Brahman? I have no knowledge of. Because I have no knowledge of what is Brahman, who am I? Therefore, what is the effect? What is the effect? Because I don't know Brahman, who am I? What is the effect of it?
I'm in samsara, mental entanglement.
Samsara is there. Because I do not know Brahman, what is the effect? The water is there, therefore lake is seen. Avidya is there, therefore samsara is seen. When there is vidya, samsara is gone. As instantly and as effortlessly, it folds away, it disappears. Just as on waking up, what happened to the dream world? How much Shravanam we have of this example? How much Shravanam? I don't think there'll ever be a Vedanta class without bringing rope and snake, wave and water, and clay and pot, and rope and mirage and desert, and waking and dream. And waking and dream. How much real is that example? Immediate, रोज हो रहा है हमारे साथ. But it still is not reflective. On waking up, what happened to my entire dream world? Shushke neere kaha ka saraha. The minute the swapna is seen as real, जागृत अवस्था में आते ही Jagrati, the minute there is wakefulness in me, even relative wakefulness, I tell you, जहां जहां हमारी समझ बनती है वहां वहां संसार नहीं है. If I see the relations in the right light, there'll be no samsara in any relation. Why are relations a cause of dukkham? Relations are not giving dukh, yet maximum samsara is in relations. Why? Because our view of them is incorrect. So he says, when the gain is so high, so huge, and the time is so little, in the next verse he's going to come to that, I think, and the time is so little in life, and the time is so little in life, then how is it possible that you would not see the truth of it? Spend your time in knowing the truth, because only in knowing the truth of your own being, आपको किसी और के बारे में जानने की यहाँ जरूरत ही नहीं है. कोई ऐसा क्यों, कोई वैसा क्यों, etc. You don't have to be too involved in knowing others. Is that the no? Time being very, very little, make sure that you have allowed yourself to have some reflection on your own being. How? Involve your life with Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrai Karane. Have we got the perception of what are our Dukrai Karnes? हमारे दुखरी करने क्या है, क्या है जो हमें बांधते हैं in a futile pursuit seeking something or the other here. Therefore Shankara tells that grammarian and tells us through him, go do the right things in life, involve yourself with the right actions and perceptions and reflection. Then he is going to say in the next verse, we'll do it next time, but he says, what is preventing us from reflecting? What is preventing us on the path of knowing our own being? Is, he says, there is this sharira adhyasa and there is this sharira ahankar. Deho ham. I am this being. I am this body. I am a person. मैं हूं. तुम क्या हो? हम क्या हैं? Don't walk over me, don't ignore me, don't do this, don't do that, I am this, I am that. एक्चुअली में वेदांता जब हमें बहुत स्ट्राइक करता है, टू द एक्सटेंट स्ट्राइक करता है, उतना उतना छूटता है. और आई एम दिस एंड आई एम दैट में क्या आई एम के साथ जोड़ के रखा है, जो आई एम के साथ जोड़ के रखा है, जिसको बाद में आया है उसको बदल दो. आई एम अनहैप्पी को आई एम हैप्पी भी तो हो सकता है. अभी क्या जुड़ा है मन? आई एम किससे जुड़ा है? सपोज अनहैप्पी से. उसको किससे जुड़ सकता है? अनहैप्पी बदलो, आई एम तो है ना. दैट आई एम टॉल, आई एम शॉर्ट, दैट आई वांट दिस एंड आई हैव दिस, आई वांट, ऑल दिस इज ऑल शरीर अहंकार. मैं हूं का अहंकार. शंकरा here says, मा कुरु, मत करो. क्या मत करो? गर्वम. Don't take pride. Don't have pride in these things that makes you feel you are here as a person. And it gives you a sense of identity. You feel I am so and so. And what are those things? He's broadly again categorized 3 peg marks. on that long road towards Haridwar, 3 stand-ups, standpoints. What are those called? You nail them. You put, what is it? You on the map when you make your points over there. What are those 3? Dhana, Jana, Yavan. These 3, Dhana, Jana, Yavan. You pin them. That's right. Pin them is the word. You pin them. Dhana, Jana, Yavan. These are the 3 pins, which doesn't mean these are the only 3. In between these pins, there are many, many shades. But these 3 pins will cover all of them. What are the 3 pins? Dhana, don't have pride in your wealth. And wealth means all forms of acquisitions. Do not have pride in your relations and following and people around you. And do not have pride in your youth, your young age. Why? Nimishat kalaha. Nimeshat kalaha. Nimeshat kalaha means in the blink of an eye. Within a blink of an eye. Kalaha here. With the blink of an eye, kalaha harati sarvam. Time will rob everything away, will take it away. Everything is only in time. It's a temporary existence. Time will take away all of this. Maya, Maya, Idam, Akhilam, Sarvam. All this that my mind is involved in is only Maya, Mayam, is only an appearance. The snake that I am seeing is an appearance. The water in desert is an appearance. My life, my family, my wealth, my children, my career, my beauty, my looks, my intelligence, all this is what? Snake on the rope. It is a snake on the rope. All this is आभास. कोई तत्वम नहीं है यहाँ पे. That money, my best reflection for many years had been in young age, especially when you just started earning. The first salary you got, I was fascinated by that thought. A moment before this, in those days, it was all physical wealth. There was no digital wealth. In digital wealth, non-ownership is easier because anyway you don't have it. It's only name and form. But that time, that physical, first time you got your salary and you said, oh my God, I've got money. This is my earning. And the minute thought comes, one moment before, the same, say it was 100 rupee note, supposing, the same 100 rupee belonged to someone else and उसने इसी 100 rupee को क्या कहा? मेरा पैसा. उसको ममत्वम उस 100 रुपए में उतना ही था जितना अब वो 100 रुपए वहां से निकल के इधर आ गया. तो अब तुम्हारा ममत्वम क्या है? ये मेरा है. Am I making? Now, where is that mamatvam there? Is it late? Yeah. Oh, I should end. Where is the mamatvam now? Here. In that, what I call as mind. He says, this is all Maya Mayam. Give it up. We'll take it in the next class. Okay. I'll conclude. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayaha. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhave. Asato ma sadgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we all be blessed by the knowledge and keep pursuing it till our samsara is dissolved.
धन्यवाद दीप्ति जी.
Dhanyavad
Dipti ji.
everyone. Dhanyavad.
Thank you दीप्ति जी.
Thank you. Ji.
धन्यवाद
Hari
Dipti ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Welcome.
Dipti ji. Thank you.
Hari Om. We'll just end the class. Oh, I have to stop recording.
Recording stopped.
Hari Om, everyone. Thank you.